Welcome to Mixtapes and Tasty Cakes podcast. I'm Bert Lepore. He's Damian Monte Carlo. We're hanging here with Angry Mike D. And today we talk 80s thrash metal.
All right, here we go. This is Mixtapes and Tasty Cakes, episode 6, and added another couple more sixes to it. 666.
It was
we're going with the top. We're just talking about the thrash bands. Like the top. I don't know. Are we doing we're not really doing a list of the top bands. We're not doing a countdown. We're just going to run through.
We're going to talk about some of the big ones. Yeah.
Yeah, some of the thrash bands like from the 80s, where they came from, just background on each. I don't know how the topic came up, but everybody was into it. But, doing a lot of research. I mean, friends of mine, personally speaking, friends of mine always see me as like the 80s hair band hard rock guy. But, dude, I love thrash and death metal. Like, give you a little background. Like 1991, when all my friends started running to the hills, going into getting into grunge and Nirvana and stuff like that. I hated all that shit. I mean, now I'm older, I appreciate it, and some of those bands I like, but and then I have another group of friends that got into like 9 Inch Nails and Ministry and that stuff. And then some guys just got into gangster rap. But me and a few other my friends, we got into like the heavy stuff. We went from listening to like Skid Row and Poison and Bon Jovi and stuff like that, Whitesnake, to like Metallica was like the first. And then we said, okay, then Megadeth, and then Slayer and Anthrax, and then all the other bands that we were going to talk about today. And then I went one step further, even more extreme. I got into death metal and stuff like that. So I just wanted to put it out there. When people see me talking about thrash, they're going to think I'm some poser. Which, when I was a kid, my buddy's brother used to call me a poser all the time.
You hear Mike admit it and stuff right now? What was that, Mike?
I went from New Kids on the Block to Metallica.
well, I got to say, the latest I ever got was probably Duran Duran. New Kids on the Block, and never happened. Never happened. I don't fucking believe it. I think he's telling the truth.
Well, I did see him in concert.
That's even more, dude. That's even more.
Yeah, I didn't have any friends that. Well, hey, maybe they did like New Kids on the Block, but nobody admitted it.
Mike's going to tell a story. What's the story?
We won tickets off the radio. Actually, it was my friend Mike that did it. We won tickets off the radio for Tiffany. At the time,
jeez.
I was like 13 or 14 years old. I'm like, I don't know. Come on, there'll be chicks there. We'll go. All right, so we get tickets to go there. The New Kids on the Block open up. Who the hell are these kids? I think one of them actually fell off the stage or something. Or had a little accident with the relay. But that was actually my first concert was Tiffany and the New Kids on the Block.
Wow.
You need to cleanse yourself from Slayer really quick.
Yeah, right.
Wow. I mean, for me, I always kind of listen to rock music. Probably, I think a lot of people thought same thing with me, that I was probably the Bon Jovi guy and all that. But I do listen to heavier stuff. I do listen to Metallica and all that stuff. And I do even like the Cradle of Filth a little bit now, So I like some. Yeah. I like some of the heavy stuff. I'm not a big fan of the growl vocals, even though I don't mind it once in a while. I'm not really a fan of that. If it's melodic, I can get hooked,
Mm-hmm.
But the
I mean, now a lot of these bands, like all the metalcore bands, they mix like the growling and the and melody. Which you know what, man, I'm not really into that. I mean, for me, it's gotta be one or the other. I mean, so. When I started getting into all that death metal stuff, I mean, it was like really extreme, and like the growling vocals, I mean, it kind of fit. Plus, all these guys, I mean, they look like friggin' monsters anyway.
Yeah.
Nowadays, these kids, they have short hair. They look like they should be fixing your computer. You know. But anyway, I mean, about these bands, like Metallica was like my gateway band.
Yeah, I think for all this probably.
Oh, same here.
Yeah, I mean, I saw I got into them like around 87, right after, or maybe it was 88. Whenever Garage Days came out, because a buddy of mine in school, he used to wear Metallica shirts all the time. And I was like, yo, who's that band Metallica? So I didn't know it was Metallica because they were never on MTV. They didn't even have a video. So, nobody talked about,
right.
Metallica. You didn't hear people on TV talking about them, Yeah. So I had enough money to go buy one of their tapes, and they had Garage Days. It was like, it was like the $4.98 EP or something. Yeah, it was, it was cheap. So I bought that. And then I started reading about other bands, got into Anthrax and all that other stuff,
Yeah, Garage Days, I remember that one. I got into Metallica a little earlier. But, I would say there was a lot of tape trading going on. And I probably got my first Metallica or taste of Metallica was probably Ride the Lightning. It was that early. And then after that, I went back, got Kill 'Em All. And then, of course, I was a fan ever since. Yeah. But speaking of Metallica, why don't we open up with Metallica? Dave, you can go first.
Yeah, I mean, they're like the forefathers of the thrash genre. I mean, they were, I think, when they start the band, like in 81, James and Lars kind of, they met up and they were looking for, Lars being from, Europe, he came over to, in LA in the 70s, but he was into all the imported, British, new wave of British heavy metal bands, like, more Maiden, but like
Motorhead.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Motorhead.
Well, Dave, with the Motorhead thing, they I think he was on like an album sleeve or something crazy like that, like partying with Lenny when he was a kid or something crazy like that.
Yeah, and he used to follow those bands on tour in England. Like he used to fly to England. So someone always told me that Lars was like a rich kid or something, but just reading all about that stuff, he always used to say he used to follow those bands around, but he was into like Diamond Head, and James was into that stuff too. And I guess their love of Motorhead and all the new wave of British heavy metal bands, which was all like really fast, they kind of took it one step further and started this genre. And then, they had Mustaine in the band, and then, we know the story with him. They kicked him out. He started his own band. Yeah. And then they wanted Cliff. Cliff was in San Francisco. He told the band, "You guys got to move up here." He did. Exactly. And they already had bands, heavy bands like in the Bay Area, Exodus, they were around the same time Metallica, early 80s. And they were already kind of doing that stuff. But I think Metallica kind of rubbed off on them, the speed of it, and that kind of, the Bay Area was like the hotbed for
that. If you look, most of these bands we mentioned are all going to be like California bands, except for,
I think it was mainly California and New York.
Yeah, that's pretty much where it came from. I mean, when James and Lars hooked up, it wasn't even that long that they recorded Hit the Lights for a Metal Massacre compilation. Mm-hmm. It was put out by
Metal Blade.
It was put out by Metal Blade, and they didn't really even have a band. I know James sang, played bass, and rhythm guitar on the track, and Lars played drums, and a guy named Lloyd Grant, played the solo or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And I guess they were trying to get a record deal, and I don't know if it was Metal Blade didn't have enough money to fund them, and then they were looking elsewhere. Then they found, Johnny Z. Johnny Z heard their demo tape and was like totally into them. And then I guess they were going to get rid of recording Mustaine. Mustaine got kicked out of the band.
And this was on the other side of the country in New Jersey or New York, where they were living.
Yeah,
they were staying with Anthrax.
Yeah.
Guess what, though? That was a good thing. Mustaine got kicked out of the band.
Yeah, we got two great bands. Got two great bands.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hear Scotty talk about they were eating that bologna on hand sandwiches. They didn't have enough to buy bread. But so I guess after that, pretty much they recorded Kill 'Em All, which is originally titled Metal Up Your Ass, which wasn't going to be, of course. And and they were breaking through. They were breaking through all over. And then Ride the Lightning came out. You got For Whom the Bell Tolls is on there, Creeping Death. I mean, there's some other great songs. Fade to Black, You know, I mean, that album's unbelievable. And then they come out with Master of Puppets, which is probably the greatest metal album of all time in my book. You know?
Yeah, they became like, I mean, they were probably like the Led Zeppelin of our generation. You know, I mean, there's no doubt about it.
I think they're actually probably, maybe besides Maiden,
The top
biggest metal band ever.
Oh yeah, 100% without a doubt.
I think Maiden's the biggest worldwide, probably.
Mm-hmm.
But Metallica's the biggest as far as everybody knows that name. Everybody's heard that name.
Oh yeah.
You know, and then then they get Jason Newsted for Injustice for All.
That's where I got it.
So you got into the Injustice.
I never heard anything until Injustice for All. I would just see like the magazine pictures. I said, you would never hear them. So
Right.
I saw it on sale, and I'm like, I kept putting off getting it, and I'm like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna get it.
Right.
I was like, I don't know what they sound like. This is the only way I want to hear them. I was like, if it sucks, it sucks. I'll be able to trade off with all my friends or something like that.
Right. I mean, I couldn't wait for that album.
It fucking scared the shit out of me.
And
it's my favorite Metallica record. I mean, I love the way it sounds. I mean, it's just a lot of evil sounding riffs. I mean, there's a lot of intricate parts. I mean, it sounds so mean, you know. It's so pissed off, and I just love the way it sounds.
Dude,
real dry. Everything's totally dry.
the riff, the Harvester of Sorrow, is one of the greatest riffs ever.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I heard them play that song. Was right before the album came out. We were talking in the Van Halen episode. They were on the Monsters Rock tour, and Justice, I don't think, came out just yet.
Right.
T-shirts, all the T-shirts were out, and they played Harvester.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was great. And then shortly after, I think the album came out. But yeah, man, everybody was hooked on Metallica. You know, they could say what they want about Metallica in the later years. I don't give a fuck. They're still the best.
But you know what? It seemed like the past, I don't know, Death Magnetic, when that came out 13 years, that was like, they seemed like they redeemed themselves, because that was a really good album. You know, the last one, that's a great album, man. I mean, you know, and they've embraced their past. Before, you know, it seemed like after the Black Album, like they had that middle period up until maybe early 2000s, like they're experimenting, and you have to do that.
Yeah,
but
I wasn't a big fan of Reload. Even Load was, but Reload I thought was just, I don't know, I couldn't.
It was a departure from their sound. You know, they changed their look a little bit. They changed their sound. They still had some real good songs, but they did some bluesy stuff. But I think as an artist, you have to do that. Only certain bands get away with that. Slayer gets away with it. Slayer can sound like Slayer forever. Overkill, same thing. But not every band can wait that. So Metallica, why not? They have every right to be artistic. Atlas Rise, wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
Spit Out the Bone, man. That's probably one of my favorite Metallica songs.
I like it.
That could have been on like Injustice for All. That song, you know.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, Metallica is just one of the greatest bands ever. I mean,
you know what? And they always mix up their set list when you see them live. Like a lot of bands, they want to play. You know what they're going to play all the time. Metallica, every tour, they're always changing it up. They're always throwing in like a lot of the old stuff. They'll play like, you know, a few times at festivals. They'll play complete records. Like they'll play Ride the Lightning. You know, they always do cool stuff. And then I think on their 30th anniversary, they had they rented out they booked like a week of shows at like a theater, like a small theater in San Francisco, and they had everybody from their past come up with them. Mustaine played some songs. That dude Lloyd Grant, Ron McCovney, and they had
the original bass player, yeah.
Yeah, I mean
Danzig.
Yeah, Danzig, John Bush.
Diamond.
Yeah, King Diamond. Yeah, bands should like just watch and see what they do. They always like seem like to do the right thing as far as like,
they're smart.
You know, yeah. They always do cool shit for their fans.
I don't know. You ready to move on to the next one?
Yeah.
All right, Dame. How about Slayer?
Yeah, Slayer. I mean, to me, they're like the AC/DC of metal. You know, they probably put out like the greatest thrash album of all time with Rain and Blood. But I mean, they've always stayed true. I mean, they never like swayed. They never tried anything different. I mean, I think what record they had like sort of like their new metal moment, but I mean, for the most part, they've always stayed true. I mean, and you know, Dave Lombardo was like, you know,
Great drummer.
one of the greatest drummers in metal. I mean, it's, you know.
Yeah, Dave Lombardo is awesome, and it's a shame that they couldn't, for whatever reasons, they couldn't work out their differences for Dave to finish up with them.
Yeah.
I mean, that band pretty much, besides when Lombardo left like 2 or 3 times, and you know, when Jeff Hanneman died, besides that, it was the same band for, you know, pretty much.
Yeah, for a long time.
I mean, I think they had Paul Bostoff or something like that, if I'm saying his name right.
Yeah, he came back.
He drummed for a little bit. And but for the most of the part, you know, it was pretty much the same guys through the whole time. And I think the guy from Exodus, guitar player from the Exodus,
Gary Holt,
wound up finishing the tour did the reunion, pretty much the reunion, the farewell tour. Yeah,
and he did well, he's been in the band for maybe, I don't know, 6-7 years or something, since whenever Jeff Hanneman got sick. He's you know, he was filling in, but I mean, can you think of anybody better than him to fit that band? I mean, he looks like he fits. He's, you know, he played this shit, you know.
He's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
All these bands, these thrash bands, they're very tight knit. They're very
yeah.
I mean, they all have 1,000 different members, most of them. You know what I mean? And they all intertwine. And who's playing with this one? Who's playing with that one? But they seem to be like a close kind of family-oriented, you know, movement.
Right. Yeah.
You know? Like I said, Gary Holt, you know, Exodus, Kirk Hammett, Exodus, you know. We'll talk a little Paul Belloff, you know, Exodus, you know, and then, you know, a lot of these guys. Jason Newsted was in Flotsam and Jetsam.
Kerry King played with Megadeth early on.
That I didn't know.
Yeah.
I really didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, he did a few shows, like in around '84, a few shows with Megadeth, you know, and then he quit. I think he was still playing in Slayer, but he quit just to concentrate on Slayer. I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong on that, but I'm 100% positive he played with Megadeth.
I never heard it.
Yeah.
But I mean, you have albums like Show No Mercy, Rain and Blood. You know, Rain and Blood, what a great song.
Yeah, that whole album is amazing.
That riff is ridiculous. It's still a great riff. And then
Angel of Death.
Angel of Death. You move on to South of Heaven. Yeah. South of Heaven's a great song. Spill the Blood is another one. I mean, that whole South of Heaven record is probably, vocal-wise, I started getting the Slayer during South of Heaven, and then, you know, I lost my shit with Season of the Abyss. That was an unbelievable record. Yeah. That record was the Slayer record for me. And then
cool video, too.
Oh, great video, man. And then all the other ones were pretty good after that. And, but, you know, maybe that's Diablo's Music or whatever that was called. That was probably my least favorite from them. But then when they came out with God Hates You All. Remember God Hates You All? Oh, my God. I was like, wow. And that record, I think, came out 9/11, which was even crazier, you know?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
I was like, wow. That album was awesome. Definitely.
You know what you're getting with them every time. Like, you know, AC/DC's got a new album out. It's like
you're going to get that.
You know what you're going to get. You know, Slayer's. You know, every album they'll put out. You know what you're going to get.
Right. And guess what? The fans are okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, they've never really had like a down period in their career. You know, they've always slow and steady, and then, you know, past 10-15 years, I mean, they're playing arenas, headlining. I mean, next to Metallica, they're probably like the biggest band, you know.
Everybody,
because Megadeth, you know, they had their point where they were doing arenas, and then, you know, then they came down a bit to like doing theater-sized venues, headline. But Slayer, you know, I mean, I've seen them play headline arenas.
I wonder if it's the thing with Slayer where it's just like, you know, if you like heavy stuff, it's like Slayer. Everybody it's something you just get into if you're in the heavy stuff. You know what I mean? Like that crowd.
Great name. It's one word, Slayer.
It just turned into something like, you know, you see people wearing Motorhead shirts, Ramones shirts.
Yeah.
You know, and Slayer shirts and just screaming Slayer. It's just something that
something clicking.
You know,
Yeah, it took.
Yeah.
It took off, and like you said, them guys stayed totally true to what they are. You know, they still same way. I mean, then you hear the rumors that they're pretty much done and they're never bringing Slayer back. That was the last I heard of it. You know, which you never know. You know,
you never. I mean, they say that they're done. You know, but who the hell knows? I
it's
mean,
been done 20 times. So's Ozzy. You know.
Yeah.
Listen,
I saw them 4 years ago. They played at the. They headlined one of the stages at that Rock Allegiance Festival.
Uh-huh.
It was at that soccer stadium in Chester, PA.
Right.
And my where I work, they were sponsoring the show. Ibanez Guitars was sponsoring it.
Right.
So I was able to get an all access pass for the show.
Oh, nice.
And like one of the few times I got to sit on stage, on the side of the stage, I saw Slayer. And man, it was like, it doesn't really sound that great watching the band on the sound.
It's hard, it's hard to hear.
But to feel the energy level of like, the band is like 10 feet away from you, and then you look out into the crowd and you see, it's just like, and to see Slayer in that setting was like something I'll never forget, man. It was pretty cool.
I only seen them once, and I seen them with when Megadeth was doing, I think, the Rust in Peace tour. Might have been something different, but they did like a co-headline and thing. Actually, they did.
Yeah.
I think Megadeth opened up for that because they came down with all the crazy cymbals and stuff, and they were like, wow, live, wow, like just
they're a powerhouse, man. There's so much energy, but it's there's no like, you're not going to hear like their ballad. They don't do that shit. It's just,
they're huge without no commercial success.
Yeah.
Or no commercial radio, I should say. They are successful. Just without the help of...
It's a diehard following.
I mean, yeah. And there's not many of that, Like, even with the new bands today, there's some good stuff out there, but I don't know if we'll see something like that,
Nah.
I mean, at our age bracket, we caught a lot of cool shit,
Yep.
We definitely caught a lot of cool shit, and I think we're still going to see more stuff out of Kerry King. Tom Araya, we might too. You never know. All right, let's move on to another big one, man. Megadeth.
Yeah, I mean, that was like, Mustaine got kicked out of Metallica and he formed Megadeth. That was him. He had a lot to be pissed about. He said that he just wanted to play, faster and heavier than them, and a lot of the Megadeth riffs on the first album or two were, well, not a lot, but a few of them were Metallica songs, And even look at Metallica's first two records. Mustaine has credits for, on a lot of those tunes. So.
Well, the Four Horsemen was called The Mechanics. Demo was called The Mechanics. And he did record that for Megadeth, or with Megadeth. Changed up a few things. I'm sure Metallica changed up a few things, but they're hand in hand. If Metallica's one step ahead, Dave and Megadeth's probably like a half a step behind them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Listen, they're both great. I love them both. Megadeth formed in '83 with Dave Ellefson and Mustaine. One of the big four. Definitely one of the big four. Their songs were more complicated, more complex. Dave sings over some crazy shit.
He's got a unique voice.
Very unique voice.
Yeah. Nobody sounds like him, that's for sure.
Nobody sounds like him. And dude, I don't know. I know you play a little guitar, the drums is your main thing, but like a song like Holy Wars, how the hell is he singing over that? Like, hell.
Yeah, I mean, how many people can play complex stuff like that and
just play like that, let alone sing and play like that?
Yeah, for real.
You see a lot of these guys hit an open chord, then they'll sing something, hit an open chord, then sing something. This guy's playing this intricate stuff and still can hold melody lines over it. That's freaking. Listen, anybody that can sing and play guitar, I don't care if you could barely do it. If you can sing and play guitar, it's hard. Guitar is freaking hard.
Mm-hmm.
Singing, you can get away with some stuff, but guitar is freaking hard, man. It's not easy. You know what I mean? It's either you really got to work hard at it, or you just got to get
right.
I tried 1 billion and one times. I could play bits of nothing good, and I've been doing music for fucking 30 years.
Well, that style of music, it's very it's complex, man. It's you can't be a hack and play that stuff.
No way, man.
Yeah, a lot of people get it. Oh, it's crap music. No, it's just rock but fast.
It's the crazy thing is with that stuff is that it's so fast, and then they break down to these classical parts, and you're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
You know? And it shows you how good they are. For me, it's a vocal thing. For a lot of the thrash, reading the death metal stuff and all that, it's a vocal thing. Where it's like, if you got a hook in there and you got some melody in there, I'm hooked. The music could be as fast as it could be, I'm good. As long as there's a hook. You know, it's...
I'm with you.
Got to be...
Well, that's the thing with a lot of the thrash bands. They were all vocally. They were all different. You know, you had like Slayer was. You know, Tom Araya was like pretty much screaming. Joey Belladonna was a singer.
Yeah.
You know, Mustaine kind of grunts and sings his way. You know, it's like they're all. You know.
Yeah, I mean, and the best part is they all came from the same kind of cloth, and they all sound, like I said, they all sounded different, which is crazy. You know, usually you start getting people, you know, if one band, all the LA bands, you know, they came out in the late 80s, they all started kind of sounding and looking alike. With the thrash bands, they all sounded different, man. You know what I mean? They all sounded different. And vocally, James had his, like Mike said, that manly kind of, you know, I'm James.
Yeah.
Mustaine had a snarl.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
He had a snarl. And then you had like, even if guys like you talk like Suicidal Tendencies, Mike Muir's got his own thing, man. His own kind of.
Like he was just like a tough guy. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not. Oh, it's suicidal.
It's Suicidal. Yeah. I mean, same thing. Trio was in Suicidal.
Mm-hmm.
Suicidal had his vocals were so cool because they were different. The cadence was different. It was almost rappy, hardcore.
Yeah.
Thrash.
But then he had a little bit of singing in there too, which was.
Yeah, and then he sang a little bit, and his voice was a unique sounding voice.
Yeah,
so it had to be key perfect. You know, it was cool. It was real cool. And I know we're going off Megadeth for a second here, but even Rocky George, great guitar.
The Pittsburgh.
He had the Pittsburgh hat. Yeah, like the Willie Stargell.
Yeah. Pittsburgh Pirates hat.
Dude, and when he was out of Suicidal, he might have played, I think, with the Cro-Mags, and then he went to Fishbone, which is
really?
a great band. Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
And he went to Fishbone.
Yeah. I was wondering what happened to that guy.
Yeah, he did do. I looked it up. He did do other stuff, which I didn't know either. So I peek at it, but I didn't know either. But getting back to Megadeth, dude, you have the first record I thought was decent, but then they came out with
Peace
Killing Is My Business, Piece of Killing Is My Business, I think it was called. But they came out with that, and like I said, Peace Sells was on there, and we heard that beginning riff in so much MTV.
MTV News, yeah.
MTV News, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, it was great. You know, then you had, you know, So Far So Good, So What, which had In My Darkest Hour, which was a great song.
Right.
Anarchy, I think, was on that one. And I mean, great, dude. And even if you talk Metallica's Black Album, which is a great record, Hand in Hand, Countdown to Extinction, song for song is great.
Oh, you can't forget Rust in Peace.
Rust in Peace, greatest song ever, Holy Wars.
I was always a Rust in Peace guy.
For me, yeah. If I had to pick two Megadeths, and you know, without thinking hard about it,
right,
I would say Rust in Peace and Countdown are my two Megadeth records. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think Slayer had Rain and Blood, Metallica had Master of Puppets, Megadeth's masterpiece is like Rust in Peace, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that.
The one thing with Megadeth, and I think it kind of hurt them, is like there was like a revolving door. They're always like in the early days, like they're always changing guitar players and drummers. You know, it was like every album almost.
Yeah, because you asked us who's in Megadeth, we're going to tell you Elfson and Mustaine.
Right, and like a million drummers and guitar players.
Yeah, I can't even keep up at this point with that. But
yeah,
it's Dave Elfson and Dave Mustaine. When you think Megadeth,
yeah,
that's who you think. Matter of fact, it was funny. I ordered something from Amazon this week. I actually have here, I could show. I ordered this. I don't know if you can see this or not. Maybe you can't. It's fading out, but can't see it. But it's Megadeth Warheads on Foreheads.
Oh yeah, I was listening to it today. It's pretty good.
Dude,
it's like remix versions.
It's 35 songs.
Oh, is it that many?
35 songs. It's like a four vinyl set. And it comes on audio. I got it on audio rip too when I bought it. so I got also. But it's yeah, dude, it's like 4
It's
hours.
all remixed.
I don't know if it's remixed or not. I haven't, to be honest with you, I haven't even played it yet. But it comes in a super nice box, man.
Yeah, I was listening to the first record on Spotify today, and it said remixed.
Right.
Which and now that's like another thing. A lot of these early, a lot of these 80s thrash bands, like their first record or two, man, that like the production was pretty bad. I mean, and like there was so much reverb on the vocals and everything.
Oh, yeah. Dude, you listen to this shit today. We were listening to like even at, and we're going to get into them later on, like Death Angel and stuff like that. But you listen to stuff today, the production is unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. Now, all the stuff now sounds amazing.
If they had that production back then, a lot of them bands that you might have passed over, you might have gave a better listen to, because sometimes it's hard to get over the production.
Yeah.
It really is. But I mean, for me, I seen Megadeth live only once. That was with Slayer, and they were great, man.
Yeah, I saw them quite a few times. They're another band. They got a lot of. I mean, they got a shitload of records. I mean, and the same thing with Megadeth, like Metallica. Their last few albums, man, they finally went back and like they know what the fans want. Like the fans that they want to hear them, like progression of their early material. Now, like their early style, and they're doing, last album, Dystopia was great.
Oh, great. Yeah, it was real good, man. And like you said, it's that Mustaine snarl.
Yeah.
For me, it's just, he could talk something that just sounds cool, Definitely. Let's move on to one of my favorites, Anthrax.
Yeah. They're one of my favorites too. I mean, next to Metallica is probably my favorite, 80s thrash band. Second is very close between Slayer and Anthrax. I'd probably give the edge to Anthrax.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think all three of us do. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it would be Metallica, Anthrax, Megadeth, Slayer. But
it's close for me with that. Yeah, it's close for me. But it's about the vocal. It's a vocal thing at that point for me.
They always seem like, just like regular, fun dudes that play like thrash, They didn't always, like, they were smiling in in a lot of pictures back then. Like, they weren't always trying to look pissed off. They didn't have any, like, a satanic agenda or a political agenda. They're just like
fun.
Yeah, just like New Yorkers, like, that just love metal,
Yeah.
And you could definitely hear, like, I don't know about you guys, but I could definitely hear the difference between, like, the California thrash bands and the New York bands.
Yeah.
It was I can't describe it, but if I hear it,
I think the California bands were a little more technical, and I think the New York bands were just more, balls to the wall,
a little more on the fun side to get MOD,
Right. Yeah.
A little more straightforward, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I think I'm not saying, because I don't know that many of the bands, you know what I mean, to be honest with you, but for the ones that I know, I would say that the California stuff was like fast and technical, which I think like Anthrax was more song oriented. They didn't have
right. Yeah.
They gave you a hook, and they started out with Neil Turbin. Turbin was okay. Then they got Joey Belladonna, and Belladonna's fantastic.
Oh, Belladonna's great.
And then they got Bush, and I thought Bush was really good.
We've got Bush.
We've got Bush.
Bush.
And then they went back to Belladonna, and it's still great. Matter of fact, for me, for the Anthrax albums, my favorite's probably State of Euphoria. I love it.
Really?
Yeah, I love that record. Followed by,
they say that album is a little bit of a disappointment because they kind of rushed it,
I like that album. And then you know what? Which, people might get mad, but I absolutely love Sound of White Noise.
Yeah, no, that's great. Great record.
Well, it's not, you don't even consider it now, but Killer Bees even.
Oh, Killer Bees was awesome.
Yeah.
It was a fun record.
I don't know what it was. It was B-sided, I guess, but it was great.
Oh, Among the Living, I mean, that was
Indians might be their greatest song.
Yeah. Yeah.
Skeletons in My Closet was on that. And then you have
Caught in a Mosh.
And then you have even the other ones, what's it called?
Persistence of Time?
No, Spreading the Disease.
Okay. Their first one with Belladonna.
Medusa, I think, was on that one. Medusa was great.
Gung Ho, that was on.
That might have been on that one too. Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, they have. It gets confusing before that.
It is. Yeah.
There's
Gung Ho,
Dangerous, and I get confused of was that an actual release or not. And
Madhouse
was another good song, but they had some really, really good songs. But when they came out with Sound of White Noise, Bush, dude. If you ask me, if you could pick at this point, if you asked me in 1980, it might have been different. If you asked me at this point, who are the two people that I would like to sound like? If you give me a voice that sounds like Karabi mixed with Bush, I'm on Krabby Bush.
Yeah, he was great. And you know what? Like that hit, I think him being in the band at the time kind of gave that band new life too.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if they would have lasted with Joey Belladonna in the 80s, you know? Yeah, I mean for at that time, the early 90s when everything was starting to change, you know, people talk about the hair bands. These bands, they had it kind of tough too at the time, you know? Absolutely. I mean, that's why all those bands were doing like their version of the Black Album, like Sound of White Noise, you know? They got signed to Elektra, Metallica's label, you know, and that was a pretty big record for them. I mean,
White Noise was, like I said, it's probably my favorite. I was more disappointed with Stomp 442, whatever it was. I was like, what happened?
Yeah.
Like, and then, you know, We've Come For You All was real good, and they had a couple other ones in between, but Sound of White Noise, top to bottom, I can listen to that record without skipping anything.
Now, one thing we kind of passed over, and you know, it's got to be known, is that, I mean, you wouldn't, to me, you wouldn't have, you know, for better or worse, you wouldn't have the Korns and, you know, the Limp Bizkit and all the other bands, Linkin Park, who've incorporated metal and hip hop. It wasn't for Anthrax. I mean, when they did I'm the Man,
they did it first, yeah.
And then they you know, they did Bring the Noise, which was a Public Enemy song. They covered it you know, with Public Enemy. But I mean, that was huge.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure.
I'm the Man was huge. That wasn't even on an album. They put it out as like a single, like an EP.
Right. What were you saying, Mike, about Faith No More?
I said I'm sure that was even a big influence on Faith No
More. Oh yeah, right, yeah.
Another great band. Another great.
Yeah.
You know, that guy's voice, he can do whatever he wants. You know, he can just pat and pull up anything.
Yeah, they were doing thrash, death metal, like
they were doing it all. They were ahead of it, I thought.
And look, and Scott Ian is probably one of the most recognizable guys in metal.
Oh, definitely. He's got his hands in a ton of stuff. Yeah. Everybody knows who Scott Ian is. I haven't read any of his books. Have you read any of the books yet?
I haven't, but it isn't like the one book called, like, you know, the guy from Anthrax. Something like that.
Something like that, but
yeah,
I don't know, but I would like to listen to that because he's been around for a long time now.
Yeah.
I mean, they were in the beginning. They were with the Metallicas and the Exoduses and all that stuff. They were around for a long time. Same thing, you know, they had a couple of guys come in and out of the band. I love worship music. When Joey came back,
it was great.
Top to bottom, great album.
Yeah.
And then was For All Kings maybe the next one, and that one was real good too.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to their next. I mean, a lot of these bands are still putting out great material. I mean, the last few albums are for, you know, a lot of these 80s thrash bands is, you know, probably some of their best shit.
Oh yeah.
10 more years to be playing casinos.
Yeah.
Well, think about it. Think of how heavy we thought these bands were back in the day. Now it's like they're not heavy at all.
I know. I mean, you hear stuff like that on the radio. I mean,
it's crazy. Even hear bands like, you know, some regular metal stuff that we heard. Now it's like classic rock.
Like back in
yeah.
Like, say 1988, you heard Disturbed on the radio. That's like,
we would have thought it was heavy back then, probably.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that just goes to show you the influence that these bands had.
Oh,
on other bands that kind of took it a step further and made it like commercial, like where you could hear it on the radio.
Right. Let's move on to another one of my favorites, Testament.
To me, they're always like the.
They're five. They're always five to me. They're always the next one.
Yeah.
They're always the next one.
Yeah, they kind of remind me of like Anthrax in a way. Like they weren't like, they didn't look pissed off. I mean, they seemed like young guys, that like just like younger dudes that, you know, and just like technical. I mean, like Alex Skolnick was probably like the best guitar player.
Oh my God, he was like a classical player. You know, and yeah, he was like a classical player. They were formed in '83. Another band formed in '83 in California, and their original name was Legacy.
Right.
Which is crazy because the first record was The Legacy.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm sure, but they were pretty big. Around that time they were a pretty big band. And who was that? They had a ton of lineup changes though too. And I think was it Paul Beloff? Paul Beloff, who sang with Exodus, left Legacy to go sing with Exodus.
Right.
And then Chuck Billy came in, pretty much. So, you know, Chuck Billy's been on every record since. I think him and Eric Peterson might have been on every Testament record. You know, Skolnick left for a couple years.
Yeah, he came back.
But like you talk Testament, one of my favorite cover songs, Nobody's Fault, the Aerosmith song.
Oh yeah, great version of that.
That was actually my first Testament record. Was the New Order.
Yeah.
That was New Order was my first one, and
Practice What You Preach.
Oh, Practice What You Preach, probably my favorite.
Yeah,
I love that record.
Yeah,
so good, man. Even like the slow song on it, you know.
Yeah.
What was it? The Ballad.
The Ballad. Yeah. Didn't they have a video for that?
Ballad
which was Trial by Fire.
Trial by Fire.
Yeah, I remember that song. I don't know which one that was on.
Souls of Black.
Souls of Black was good. Souls of Black.
Oh wait.
Souls of Black was real good.
Yeah.
Trial by Fire was on that New Order.
That's it. Okay.
It was on New Order. It was one of the older ones, and then Practice, pretty much with MTV, with Headbangers Ball and all that stuff. Practice pushed them, you know.
Yeah.
But there was a band who worked hard and still works hard, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck Billy, I love Chuck Billy's voice when he sings a little bit. Oh, love it.
Yeah, no, he does everything. He does like melodic singing. He could do. He'll on some of these records. I remember he did like the low guttural stuff. You know.
Souls of Black. I dug that one too, man.
Yeah.
I dug that one too. And then even the Ritual.
The Ritual. Mm-hmm.
Ritual was great. Electric Crown was on that one. I like Electric Crown.
Oh yeah, it's a great tune.
It was a great song. And then even like then they got real heavy for a couple albums.
Yeah.
And
Low.
Yeah, dude, they got like crazy heavy for a little bit. Like even vocally it was like, you know.
Right.
And, the last one I took a listen to not too long ago, The Titans of Creation, and I'm like, the production, wow! I thought it sounded amazing, man.
Yeah, sounds great.
They got a song called World War III. Unbelievable, man. It's like really, really, really good stuff. But Testament, again, it's like they were number 5, man. They were up there. They were definitely up there. I think they should have been a little bit bigger than what they were. You know?
Yeah, and you know, and the other thing is they almost had like a hairband kind of look. Yeah, like if they played Trickster's music, you know, just by looking at them, you think that's almost what they sound. You know,
Billy,
you know what I mean?
good hair. He's got good hair.
Yeah.
He's a big dude too. That's a big dude.
Yeah, now he is, but back then.
Yeah, but yeah, Chuck Billy had some good hair. Him and Mustaine might have been. Yeah. But moving on, let's go to Overkill.
Yeah, these guys, they're always one of my favorites. I've seen them so many times.
Have you really? I never seen Overkill.
Yeah, I saw them a bunch of times. I used to go see them it seemed like every year they used to play the Truck.
Really? What was
in
that?
Philly, yeah.
Did they play that place that used to play at the Birchill? They had like a lot of...
Yeah, I've seen them there, and it's sort of like their hometown. You know, they're from like Jersey, you know, Brooklyn, you know.
But
yeah, you know, the one thing I hear about them from a lot of people is that some people can't get past the vocals. Personally, I kind of like his voice.
He's very unique. He's totally unique, and I could see that. I think, Mike, you said you weren't really that big on the vocal, right? I mean,
really not my thing. Like, it's weird. The really kind of high stuff and the Cookie Monster stuff is just.
So I guess Bobby Blitz is like the Vince Neil of.
Yeah, that could be, but I think Bobby sings the songs.
Yeah.
I didn't hate that. I mean, they had a couple good things. I never owned anything by them. I remember their videos were cool with The Flying Skull.
Yeah, which
Great song.
you know who stole that? You know who stole that?
Who? Oh, Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Point Damo. Wow, dude, I didn't even think about that. But then they have remember the album Fuck You and Then Some More with the middle finger? I remember that album cover.
Yeah. I remember the t-shirt.
The t-shirt,
the middle finger was like, we don't care what you say, fuck you.
Yeah. Dude, and then probably my first, I had Taking Over, but I think right after that, I really got into them during
Under the Influence? Yeah, me too.
Right. What was the big song from Under the Influence? Hello from the Gutter?
Hello from the Gutter, yeah.
Hello from the Gutter.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was a cool song. And then Years of Decay is probably my second favorite. That's another Elimination, was on there.
Right.
Skull Crusher, Spider Skull Crusher.
Mm-hmm.
Long ass song, but pretty damn cool. But Overkill, and I dug that they kept all their album covers with almost like Typo, where they had the same color, the same. You knew it was their album.
Green.
The green. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they still do it to this day.
Yeah.
They still do it. Matter of fact, they just released a record in 2019 called The Wings of War, and it's still same logo, same colors, and it's the same thing. It's pretty good. He did.
Dude,
I'm sorry.
And they've consistently put out records every couple years. They have 20 albums.
Oh yeah, dude. Go through the catalog. You're going to be there for a while. But a lot of these thrash bands, for me, it was probably mid 80s to late 80s were the ones that I remember well. I fell off a little bit here and there, following a lot of the bands. Maybe I still a little bit with Testament and stuff like that. Of course, Metallica and Megadeth, but the big names. But as far as a lot of the smaller bands, I kind of fell off from because it got confusing who's in the band, who's not in the band.
Right. Yeah. They kind of lose you. And they're another band. They went through a lot of lineup changes through the years.
Guys.
Dee Dee Verney and Bobby Blitz.
Guys that I think were on it. I think they're on every record.
Oh yeah. It's their band.
Verney's a bass player, right?
Yeah.
He's a bass player, which is great, man. We also did talk about let's go back to Anthrax for 1 second. Is that Charlie, great drummer, writer? We were talking before.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, he is Anthrax. Scott.
Yeah.
Scott might be the face, but Charlie.
Yeah, it's all him.
Yeah, man.
And another Anthrax connection is Dan Spitz used to play with Overkill. Yeah, he was in Overkill. Yeah, early, way before they got. A
lot of these guys traded in and out of these bands,
Yeah.
And it seemed like they all knew each other. They all knew each other pretty well. But for like you said, I got it right here. They released 20 albums from 85 to 2019. That's pretty impressive.
It's unbelievable. Yeah,
that's pretty impressive. And Bobby Blitz, whether people like it or not, he does have a very unique voice, which is what you want. You want
I love it personally, and you either love it or hate it.
Yeah, I dig it. Let's move on to Exodus. Dan, what do you think about Exodus?
Like Slayer, it's they've never really, they've had a couple moments, but where they've kind of slipped off. But they're always another band, always consistent, man, from the beginning. And they were really early. I mean, they started in 79 or 80.
Yeah, they go back. I think 79. Another California band.
Yeah. Another
California band, and same thing. Trade Mentors. Steve Zercho was the second singer. Paul Boloff was the first singer, and they were definitely one of the first bands to lead thrash in that Bay Area sound. And dude. I mean, for me, the first time I remember the album Bounded by Blood, the album cover, more than the songs.
The Twins.
But for me, the album was Fabulous Disaster with Toxic Waltz on it.
Yeah.
And dude, and then they had this. What was the country sounding song they had on there, which was kind of crazy? What the hell is that song called? I'm gonna have it written down here somewhere.
Oh wait, Lowrider?
No. Oh yeah, they did do Lowrider. That's right. Yeah.
That was weird. That was weird, man. I didn't get that. But
it kind of reminded me of his voice kind of reminded me of Bon Scott a little bit too.
Yeah. Actually, I used always thought his voice was similar to Bobby Blitz's voice.
A little bit.
You know?
Bit. I don't know if he was as high. I'm not sure, but a little bit. But he did have that weird cadence that Bon Scott has, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they've been around, man. Looking at the sheet, they've been around here. They've been around for a long time, in and out. And yeah, they were one of the big ones when that sound first really started. I'm looking for that song. It was Cajun Hell was the song. It's got like this bluesy kind of country. It was different. It was like, what the hell is this? You know, it was pretty cool, man. And like
Fabulous Disaster.
Yeah, dude. Now, as far as the singer goes, I thought Zerto. I thought he was a better singer than Paul. You know.
Yeah.
I kind of dug his voice a little bit more better. And as we said, Gary Holt wound up drumming with Slayer. So all these guys are playing guitar with Slayer. Yeah. So all these guys kind of knew each other. You know.
Yeah.
But Exodus, I mean, people should give them a listen. Give them if anybody's listening to this podcast, some of these bands were mentioned up. If you don't know them, because you're a little younger, give them a listen, man. Give them a chance. And, production-wise, maybe start with a new one and then go backwards, and then to see where a lot of this stuff came from, which, for me, it all came from Motorhead somewhere,
Yeah, without a doubt.
I mean, Motorhead, man. Pioneers, man. Pioneers. Yep. I forgot how good this next band was, man. Death Angel.
Yeah, they were kids. They were kids too. They were young, man. They were like teenagers. 12, 14.
Yeah. They were playing with big bands. They were playing big shows.
I know, it's amazing.
I think I just recently listened to them, and wow, they were pretty damn good.
Pretty good.
Yeah, they were young, and I think they were all cousins or something.
They were formed in 82, and by cousins. By Rob, if I say his name right, Cavastani or something like that.
Yeah.
Dennis Pepper, Gus Pepper. And they were all Filipino too.
Yeah.
So they definitely had an original look, original sound. They were fast, but they were melodic. They were fast and melodic.
That Act 3 album was awesome.
Act 3 and that was the album. They pretty much broke up after they got into an accident. I think it was a bus accident, right? Where
well, they were supposed to be the fourth band on the Clash of the Titans tour.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And then that accident happened, and then they wound up getting Alice in Chains to replace them. But they were supposed to be on that tour.
Yeah, well, they said they pretty much. I think Andy was out for a year or something like that, and that pretty much, Mark, the singer Mark, he pretty much was like,
Azagueda.
Yeah. He was like, how you say his last name?
Azagueda, I think.
Sagi, yes, I can't say.
Yeah.
But he was great singer. And that's when he left for a little bit, for a long time. And they broke up the band at that point. And then, the rest of the guys decided, you know what, let's continue it. We'll split the vocals between, Rob and Andy, and we'll call it the Organization, and we'll do something that sounds nothing like that thing.
Yeah.
Both of those records were great.
Because I think the record label was calling them DA for a little bit too.
That I didn't know. I knew they were calling them the O at one point.
Right, because they're like Death Angel. It just sounds like, what else do you think of? The heavy metal or something, or Thrash Metal?
Oh, you mean Death Angel's original name? I mean, it's a great name.
Oh, yeah.
We like after the third album,
really
go by DA.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that one, but
and then the first two records, which for some reason I only thought it was the first one, but the first two records was produced by Davey Vane.
Vane. I know Frog Park was definitely.
But yeah, both of them, the first two, and Vane is really underground band, but they're one of my favorite bands of all time. But they're a Bay Area, like glam metal band. But I know now. This is another thing. Remember how you had the division, you had the thrash guys, and then you had the glam guys, dude. And they fucking hate they both hate each other. Yeah, dude, it's so funny to think about it now.
I was in between. I like both.
Yeah.
Consider me a poser, but I like both. Well, I mean, for me, you look at it back now with all that stuff, and it was part of our growing up. So we're gonna have a special place for it somewhere.
It's so funny thinking about it, man. I remember my buddy's brother used to call me a poser all the time because me and him were in, like we were talking earlier, we're into like the the MTV you know, hard rock, and he was into all this stuff. He's a torment. And then I see him wearing a Skid Row Slave to the Grind shirt. I was like,
oh yeah.
I was like, yo, what's up with that? You know, what's up with the Skid Row? But he was like, oh, have you heard the new record? It's really heavy. I was like, okay.
You know, it's funny. I never bought into that. I liked what I liked. I never bought into that. If it's heavier, it's better. Or if it's heavy, it's too heavy. You know, if you like it, you like it. So there was never.
What's the big deal? I mean,
but there are a lot of people there's a lot of people that even the 80s guys, man, they're still stuck in you like what you like, which is cool, but you're still
I know.
88, 89. You gotta open your ears a little bit, you know, and you gotta, you know, listen, a lot of it's nostalgia. A lot of it's because what we grew up with. That's what, you know, we remember probably the most stuff. These bands today, even the really good ones, I can't remember all the band members' names. Told you everything.
Yeah.
You know, you read that album cover. You read, you know, from front to back.
Oh yeah. Well, there's no. I mean, I don't. You know, crucify me, but I don't buy CDs anymore. I do everything streaming. It's just out of convenience. I listen in my car. I listen at work. I listen at home. All Spotify. It's easy. I don't have to bring a freaking stack of CDs around.
Dude, you don't remember titles anymore after that now?
No, I don't.
No.
I don't. Yeah.
You don't. Where you remembered everything. Back then, listen, the streaming thing's cool. I mean, I have Spotify myself, and it's great. It's like a jukebox on your phone, on your computer. It's great. But at the same time, it's almost like if you get something for free, even though you pay your fee, if you get something for free, you don't give it as much respect. If you pay for something, you're going to look at it, look at the artwork. You know, back then I started, you know, doing the vinyl thing maybe like a year or two ago. And, you know, I don't buy everything. I buy the stuff I really, really like, or I really, really want. You know, I don't buy everything like I would with the CDs and stuff, but, you know, or, you know, I look at the artwork, and for me, it's like I'll pick up some vinyl stuff just because I love the artwork. I remember the record, but I'll play vinyl once in a while. But I don't play it as much as, you know, the spot. It's just convenience. You're right. It's absolutely convenience.
Come on, Tim, because you got to remember, back in the day, you would pick up an album. Oh yeah, my friend said this is great. If you pick up this album, you'll love it. You listen to it. I don't like this. It's horrible. Fuck out. $10, $15 over here.
Right.
So you put it in your collection. It sits there for weeks, months. You get bored of what you have, and you're like, let me listen to something different. You try this out again.
Right.
Fuck.
Well,
This is my new favorite album.
That's the thing. The good thing about when you paid for something, you know, when you physically had it in your hand, is that you paid the money for it. If you didn't like it, you gave it a second, third listen, and by that time, you might love the whole record. Or it's like knowing the popular songs.
But with all the
and then go back, you know?
Like, I'll never listen to it again. It gets lost in the shuffle.
You lose respect or something for it.
Honorable mentions.
Yeah, there you go. I'm gonna have to go with Sepultura.
Yeah, me too. They're after this 8. They're like my next. I mean,
it's true. Well, you're a drummer. Drums, man. The drums make it for me.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, they progressed into something like that was. You know, they like Roots. Like that album is like it's you know, that Korn, like all those bands were like that. It was like that album was like a life changer. You know,
there was a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, a lot of cool percussion and stuff. But you know, in the 80s, they were like a straight up thrash band. You know, and they're from Brazil, and like, you know, which is like, you know, you definitely knew they were not from California or New York. You know. Doing the stuff that they were doing, but
dude, great, man. They were formed by two brothers.
Yeah,
Cavalier brothers, Max and Igor, I think the names are right. Igor. And dude, they had a song on the Roots called, I can't even pronounce it, that I love. Radamata or something, Radamahada or something like that.
Yeah,
dude, the drums. Yeah. Oh, I mean, so good. And then they have a new singer. You know, I think is it Dennis Green, maybe.
Dennis Green,
or Derek Green, I think.
Derek Green, yeah.
They got a new singer, and he's good. But I kind of with Max left.
They don't even have.
I lost interest after he left the band.
No, I don't think there is no original members left.
No, they have the oh god, the guitar Andreas Kisser is still around, and the bass player.
Yeah, I love
Paolo, it's those two guys. But, you know,
Yeah.
And Igor was still into the band up until like a few years ago. He just left somewhat recently, but
He wanted to do Soulfly.
He did do Soulfly. He did do.
yeah.
I forgot about Soul. He did Soulfly, and Igor and Max later did the Cavalera Conspiracy.
Yeah, and I think like 4 years ago for work, we sponsored this metal fest up in Massachusetts, New England Metal Fest, and it was like a weekend long. And man, I saw like a lot of these bands we're talking about. I saw like during those festivals, like Death Angel and Nuclear Soul. I saw, but one of the bands I saw was Cavalier Conspiracy, and they did a whole Sepultura set, which is really cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sepultura tunes, yeah.
It was a Sepultura set they did.
Oh, they did a whole set.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I mean, yeah, the drummer and the voice, like I said, Igor's drumming I thought was amazing. It was different than everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, I was really into that, man. Like, especially like early '90s, KSAD. Man, I love that record.
You're right. Roots and KSAD are probably my two favorites.
Yeah, they're probably in my opinion, they're two best.
Yeah, they're probably the best ones. And as far as I know, they're still active. They still play.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What about? I remember more of the album covers than anything. What about Death?
I was really into them. I mean, they were, they're thrash, but well, I mean, a lot of people say that they started death metal.
Yeah.
But at that time, it's still so early. They were still.
It was.
I remember considered a thrash band.
I remember Leprosy and Spiritual Healing. They're the two that I remember.
Scream Bloody Gore was their first album. I love that. And
yeah, I'm more familiar with Leprosy. Leprosy was a big one, and Spiritual Healing. I think was that right after. It might have been right after.
Yeah, and then early '90s they had that Individual Thoughts Patterns record. And they had a video on Headbangers Ball. It used to be on like almost every week. The Philosopher, and I guess that was like their hit.
Right.
Dude, the video was really fucking weird, but it was a killer tune, straight up like death metal. But it was that kind of like melodic, like he had like this. He had like a growl, but it was like more of a high pitch, almost melodic growl.
Right.
And I thought it was, it was pretty cool.
I mean, a lot of people dug them. I remember that Leprosy record, man. Everybody was into them at that point. I never really followed much on them, I knew you dug them though.
I was really into them. And they were like, they had their own scene like in Florida, Tampa, and out of that you got all the death metal bands like
West Coast loved that stuff. I mean, it seems like a lot of it's out of the West Coast. And even like some other honorable mention bands that I just want to read off a few names. You got Flotsam and Jetsam.
Mm-hmm.
Raven, if you want to count Raven. Raven was around for a long time.
Yeah.
We talked about Suicide, but Suicidal, they should be in there, as far as...
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Coroner, Possessed, which was some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
They were crazy. It was out there.
Well, a lot of people, like, they'll say it's Possessed and Death were like the...
Beginning of Death.
Founders of, yeah.
Which probably really came from a cross between Merciful Fate and Venom.
Yeah, right.
Because Venom had a lot of that kind of, even though they weren't like real, I wouldn't consider them heavy. They were but I think a lot of that black or death metal kind of mixed in with them, Yeah.
It was almost like a heavier version of Motorhead, like a satanic Motorhead,
Even band I like a real lot, and maybe they're borderline with the thrash stuff is Wrathchild America.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Candy from a Madman, Climbing the Wall. That record was great. I mean, I think that was a really, really good band. So if anybody's never heard of any of these bands, give them a listen. If you like heavy stuff, definitely check them out. Dame, this is the point of the show where I'm going to put you on the spot, buddy.
I'll
let you go first, and then we'll go to Mike after. Fast music, fast food. What's your favorite fast food?
What, like a place I have to go to?
You can mix and match, buddy. You can do a sandwich, you can mix and match anything you want.
Shit.
You'll be shitting real quick after you eat it.
Man. Well, I like I was just telling my buddy at work today too. It's funny you brought this up. You know, man, McDonald's is a lot of shit, but there's nothing like a fucking McDonald's cheeseburger and fries, man. Ain't nothing like it. Now, you know, like 90 seconds after you digest the food, I feel like World War III is breaking up in my stomach. But you know, for that, you know, 5 minutes that I'm actually eating, it's like
you're loving
it's
it.
like, dude, it's heaven on earth.
That's their tagline. You're loving it.
I'm loving it. Yeah.
How about you, Mikey?
I mean, yeah, you gotta. It's gotta be McDonald's, and it's got its own thing. I mean, Wendy's was good with some stuff, but McDonald's. I didn't eat it for a long time. And I had one of my ex-girlfriends work there, and me and my buddy Pete would go pick her up from work one night. We're in there waiting. One of the girls was like, "Can you help us? Come in here. Like, help you, please. You can have the food, any food you want." So we look at the tray. There's like a shitload of food out there. We're like, "We'll help you clean up." They gave us, we split it in half. About 4 cheeseburgers a piece, 2 Big Macs a piece, an order of chicken nuggets. There was like another sandwich that was split it right down the center. You're just going to take that all. You can have whatever the bench. Like, sure. Like, are you going to eat that? We sat there waiting for them to finish up. We ate everything.
You're shitting for 3 days.
I didn't even know about 2 years after that. I felt like I was going to explode by the time.
For me, you know, it would have to be McDonald's, and I'd probably go with the quarter pounder, the $1 chicken sandwich, and medium fries, and I'm good. Diet Coke.
I haven't done McDonald's in years still.
McDonald's, as people like to call it. McDonald's.
Now, a buddy of mine at work, he told me, this is how we were talking about it today. He says, there's a new sandwich, right? You can't order it. You have to order a double cheeseburger and you have to order a chicken sandwich, right?
Right.
And what you do is you get the chicken sandwich and you put it in the middle of the double cheeseburger, and it's called the McGangbang.
Mayonnaise without mayonnaise. You
just right. You just take, you know.
I never heard.
Yeah, you're getting the chicken sandwich from the dollar meal, and you're putting it right in the middle of the 2 burgers from the double cheeseburger. It's called a McGangbang.
I'll take a large fry and a motherfucking McBang. I can't say it. That made the episode for me, Dim. I loved it. Everybody getting a motherfucking bang. I can't even talk. Wow. Dude.
McGangbang.
We might have to all get together.
That's just a hot dog.
I don't know where you came up with it, Dame, but it sounds interesting.
I'm gonna get a McGangbang tomorrow.
I like to try and get one every day. Oh man. Oh, too funny. Watch another episodes of mixtapes and tasty cakes. We'll see you guys next week. Take care, guys.
All right.
Bye-bye.